Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to work a flat crochet slip stitch seam. In this sample here I've joined together a crochet granny square and a Tunisian crochet square. You can use this seam to join any type of crochet together to create a really pretty and very strong seam. In this example I've used a contrasting colour so you can see the seam more clearly, but you can also use a colour of yarn that is the same as the two pieces that you are joining together. Here I've made a cardigan, and to join the different pieces of the cardigan together I used the flat crochet slip stitch seam, which you can see here. I used the same yarn in the seam that I used to make the cardigan itself, so the seam blends in really nicely. But you can still see the V's of the flat crochet slip stitch seam along here. I can lift one of them up for you so you can see a bit better. So that's one of the stitches of the seam, but it blends in really nicely with the cardigan. It makes a very nice strong seam, but the seam also stretches, so as you wear the cardigan the seam will stretch with it and make a nice wearable garment. To work this seam you will need the two pieces that you are joining together, the yarn that you want to use to join them together, and a crochet hook. The yarn that you use to work the seam is best in the same weight as the pieces that you are joining, and the crochet hook that you need to use needs to be a suitable size that matches the yarn that you are using. In order for this seam to sit flat against your work, you will be working into the back loops of each stitch or row. So with the right side of your pieces facing you, you will see at the side of each row or at the top of each stitch there will be V's, and each V is made up of a front loop and a back loop. You'll be working into these back loops to form the seam and join the pieces together. I'll show you one here. This is my piece facing me. These are the loops that are towards me, and these are the loops that are further away. These loops that you'll be working into. This is the same for the side of the row, and even the chains that you begin your work with. They all have V's, and the V's have a front and a back loop. You'll be working into the back loops. So now to join these two pieces together. I've got one piece on the left and one piece on the right, and I've matched up the edges that I want to join up. The first step is to join the bottom parts of these edges together. So you want to find the first stitch or row that's at the bottom of this edge, and then insert your crochet hook from front to back through the back loop of that stitch or row. Then on the piece on the right, locate the bottom stitch or row along this edge, and then insert your hook into the back loop of that stitch or row. So now you have two loops on your hook, one loop from each piece at the first stitch or row along the edges that you want to join together. Then you take your yarn over and pull the yarn through these two loops to join the edge of these rows together. So that's the first step complete. You've now joined the edges of your pieces together. The next step is repeated all the way along until you've completed your seam. So we want the yarn to be below our hands and below the crochet hook, and on this first piece here you want to find the next stitch or row along from where we've just joined. So we've just joined this one here, the next stitch along is this one, and you want to insert your crochet hook from front to back through the back loop of that stitch or row. In the next piece you want to find the next stitch or row along from where we've joined. We've just joined in here, so the next stitch is this one here, insert your crochet hook from front to back through the back loop of that stitch. And then, so now we have 3 loops on the hook, 1 loop from the first join of the seam, and 2 more loops, 1 from each piece that we're joining together. The next stitches all row along from where we've just joined. And then you want to yarn over, pull your yarn through 3 loops this time. 1, 2, 3. Give it a bit of a pull, and that's the next join. You're going to repeat that all the way along. So with the yarn below my hands and below the crochet hook on the first piece here, insert my hook into the next stitch or row along from where we've just joined. This one here, front to back through the back loop. Then with this second piece, the next stitch or row along from where we've just joined. This one here, insert the hook from front to back through the back loop. Yarn over, pull through 3 loops on the hook. And that's the next part done. Into the next one, the next stitch along on this piece, front to back through the back loop. On this piece, the next row along, go front to back through the back loop, yarn over, pull through 3 loops. And there you can see that the seam is starting to take place. These steps you now repeat all the way along until you reach the end. So I'm reaching the end of this seam now. I've just got one more join to make. So on this first piece, locate the next stitch or row along from where you've just joined. Insert your hook from front to back through the back loop of that stitch or row. Then in the next piece, locate the next stitch or row along from where you've just joined. Insert the hook from front to back through the back loop of that stitch or row. Yarn over and pull through the 3 loops that are on your hook. To finish off the seam, cut your yarn and then pull the yarn through the last loop that is on your hook, and that will knot the end of your seam. All you need to do to finish is to weave in the ends from the start and the end of the seam, and there you have it, a flat crochet slip stitch seam. Thank you very much for watching.